Happy Friday, everybody. Welcome to League Unlocked, but it's not too happy a Friday because it's Friday the 13th, so make sure you're being careful. Don't step under any ladders or make eye contact with any black cats because it's a spooky day, and Friday the 13th seemed to happen pretty often, so, just beware. But welcome inside the League Unlocked. My name is Eric. Week 4 is in full swing across all the regions. The LPL kicked off today. RNG back in action without Uzi. And of course, the LCK has already played a couple of games this week. And on Friday, you had a couple of doozy matchups, starting off with the superstar rookies in Griffin taking on the defending champs as their gauntlet run continues. And they've performed pretty well, 7-1. Coming into Friday's action against GenG, and surprisingly enough, they're probably favorites coming into this because the defending champs have not looked that great so recently in the summer split. And in game 1, you had some standard traditional 80 carries, but first, Ruler, you dropped your gum. I don't know if he put that back in his mouth, but I hope he didn't because it's very dirty in these studios. But traditional marksmen fly in the mid lane, and this one started off with a nice little fiesta with flashes being burned left, right, and center. Everyone's still only level 2 and 3 at this point, but this is what happens when you fight over the early Rift Heralds. You get a whole lot of action. It ends with 6 flashes being burned, and a 3 for 2 in favor of Griffin. 32 minutes, this one was still pretty even. Tarzan gets the steal on the Infernal Drake, and then it's Haru on his Rengar. He flashes in, but that's a little bit too deep. You still got the GA for the Nocturne. That was a nice Gangplank ultimate by QV. GenG goes a little bit too deep, and it goes for a 2 for 0 for Griffin eventually when the chase down finally wraps up, and then they turn that one into a Baron attempt. Goes for the steal, but it's not going to happen. Nice attempt, QV, and then you see this dive combo. This team comp was insane with the Shen Nocturne Galio. That is disgusting, especially when you're ahead with a Baron buff. All Griffin would need is that one purple worm to close this game out. We've seen how clean these guys are once they can get a serious lead. That one was close for 30 minutes. One team fight in their favor, they get the Baron, and good night. Game 2, look who's back in the mid lane, Crown, making his summer split debut, and immediately GenG says, we're sticking you on the Malzahar. Ambition also subbed in for game 2, and he had some early action for GenG. They're going to lock up first blood on Sword, who was playing Kennen in this one, and they weren't done there. They would chase down Tarzan, who's playing the Zac, by the way, something we haven't seen in a pretty long time. They chase down, the Blobs are going to go down, and here comes Viper. He thinks he can clean this up, but you're level 7, man. QV with the nice stopwatch, he survives. Viper, I'm going to call that inting, good sir, which we haven't seen much out of him. Now Griffin down 5,000 gold, but Tarzan still finds the nice engage and the follow-up from QV with the Kennen ultimate, and despite being down a heavy deficit, they're going to find a team fight win to keep their hopes alive. It took them a while because Mundo is invincible after 20 minutes, but he does go down, and they're eventually going to turn this into an ace as soon as Crown comes out of the stopwatch. Ruler was rocking the Kog'Maw in this one again. He's the only guy who seems to be running that in the 2018 summer split. They try for an engage again, but 5 turrets to 1, 3 dragons to 1. GenG is just too far ahead. It doesn't work again. They get an inhib there, then they turn around for the Baron. Ambition zones everyone away with the Baron buff and the broken inhib. GenG closes it out to tie the series at 1. Ends up being 7-5. Not that many kills in that second game, but we're heading to game 3, and they keep the defending champion lineup for GenG. This time, Crown gets the Vel'Koz. Another Kog'Maw game for Ruler, and Zac yet again for Tarzan. Viper rocking the Talia. This time it's Tarzan who's getting the action early on. He's going to lock up first blood. Ruler's flash is not enough. It goes to Lehen's on the Shen, and then it's going to be Ruler. Yet again, his positioning somewhat questionable in this matchup. He gets pulled back by Tarzan. Flash is over, but he's still sleeping from the sleepy trouble bubble. The Taric ultimate's going to keep him alive for a little bit, but eventually he's going to get yanked back in by Tarzan. He's going to go down again, and Tarzan goes a little bit too deep. He gets plopped into the bloblets, but he's going to stay alive thanks to the teleport and stand united from Shen. He stays alive, and then it's Griffin baiting the Baron. They started it up, but you know, baiting always works better than actually doing Baron. A couple of kills for them, and Sword is not done there. It was Darius Dunk City Day. This is 2015 Darius. Look at this dot. This is absolutely disgusting. He gets the shield and the heal from Tarek, and it's still not enough. He goes down. That's absolutely disgusting. Baron, Crown tries to steal it on the Vel'Koz. He's trying to ignore Chovy. He's going to go down. Doesn't get the steal. It was close, though. Baron over to Griffin, and then this one gets completely out of hand. 14-2 is going to be the final score, and a 15,000 gold lead in favor of Griffin. They take down the defending champs. You see a sigh of relief on the Griffin side, and just one coach comes out. Their support staff is so much smaller than a lot of these other teams, and which really makes their run so much more impressive. They're now 8-1, hanging out on top of the LCK standings. GenG drops down to 6-3. They've looked a little bit questionable as of late. I mean, they're still very well in the thick of the playoff race, and they're defending champs, so you got to acknowledge that. But Crown, his first games in 2018 summer, sticking him on the Malzahar, obviously that's a comfort pick for him, but nobody's playing that in the mid lane. Sometimes bottom, but not much mid. So I expect Fly to be playing in the next games that they get underway. But Griffin, what a story. It continues for them. They've been absolutely insane, torching up the LCK. They're favorites to, I mean, make some noise in playoffs. I know a playoff run's totally different, but Griffin continues to be the powerhouse of the 2018 summer split in Korea. And, I mean, before it was, they haven't faced any of the good teams, but now I keep talking about this gauntlet that they're going through. They beat everyone but KT. They've beaten Afrika. They've demolished Kingzone. Now they've beaten GenG. It's only KT that's been able to take them down. So there's really nothing you can say against them now after the first round robin. Sitting pretty at 8-1. Can't wait to watch them in the second half of the summer split. Coming up after the break, SKT's playoff hopes and dreams pretty much rely on their matchup against Hanwha, and Sneaky is coming back to the LCS, not my C9. Welcome back here to League on Lock, everybody. I go by the name of Eric, in case it's your first time joining us here on League on Lock. Going through some LCK action because the summer split is in full swing after the Rift Rivals break. Griffin continues to dominate and are sitting pretty looking towards playoffs. SK Telecom, we know what happened to them in spring. The start of summer has looked okay. They look decent at Rift Rivals, better at Rift Rivals than they have in the LCK in summer. They had their matchup against Hanwha Life Esports, and if they have any hopes of making the playoffs, this is pretty much a must-win to keep them alive because they can get to within a game of Hanwha. They're sitting at 3-5. Hanwha 4-3 coming into this one, or 5-3, excuse me. Game one, you had the Smite Karthus for Bang and Faker hanging out on his coveted Galio pick. The early game in this one was not great for SKT. 11 minutes in, you got a 3v3 going on around the Herald. The Rakan engage from Key is fantastic, and SKT just gets completely bopped in this one. Effort's gonna flash to try and survive, but that's a 3-0 in favor of Hanwha. In 14 minutes, Tall's gonna get caught out. Blank misses the ultimate on Kindred. You gotta get it further over the wall. He dies too. 6-1 in favor of Hanwha. A little bit later though, Blank is finally gonna land a good Kindred ultimate. This fight just explodes in SKT's jungle. Everybody's gonna get low, but Blank comes in with the Lamb's Respite, and the dunk is just outside of that for Tall. He's going to instantly get a triple kill, and boy, does that get the Darius rolling in this one. And that was kind of the story of it. That fight turned into a Baron for SKT, and then Tall was completely unleashed on the Darius. This damage is disgusting. This is a 1v3 right now. He absolutely obliterates. Sang-Yoon gets two-shot, basically. That's a triple kill for him again. The Shen and Galio show up pretty quickly. While that's going on, the double smite combo grabs a Baron for SKT. An absolutely massive gold swing in their favor. Tall started the game 1-3. He finished it with 10 kills, 4 deaths. Completely snowballed this one. 4 dragons for SKT. They take game one after a highly questionable early game. They come back, take a 1-0 series lead, and that's looking a lot better for them. Game 2, exact same lineups across the board. Faker on the Yasuo, and bang, gets to play an actual AD carry for once. Wow, what a life. Blank was on the Zac in this one, which used to be the coveted pick for him. He's got a Zac skin for SKT, and this time, he's going a little too deep. That's going to be a dead bloblet. Really, Game 2, it started off pretty well for Hanwha, much like in Game 1. They got a lot of kills going early, and it was a lot of SKT overextending, going a little bit too deep for some kills. They can't get anyone there. Sangyun grabs a double kill on the Ezreal. He got super fed. Triple kill for him there, and he eventually went for the double tier build because he was so ahead. Tall's gonna get caught out, and then Blank's face checking into some bindings. That's basically how this whole game went. There wasn't even really many settled upon team fights because SKT was just constantly getting caught out. That one led to a Baron, and Hanwha closed this one out pretty quickly, dominant fashion. Big gold lead for them to tie this series up at 1. This time, the bad early game for SKT bites them in the bum, and then we're heading to Game 3, where, again, same lineup, no subs. They try the Smite Karthus yet again. Faker on the Irelia, excuse me. And then Tall gets the Darius again. Blank gets him rolling. Oh boy, let's get the snowball. Another counter gank. Blank was doing work in the early game. 2-0 start for SKT, and then Lava is gonna, SKT was going for that first turret, but Lava deters them with the Swain, and here comes Lindoron on the Mundo. They burn a couple of flashes. Not going to be enough. That's gonna be a double kill for the likes of Hanwha Esports. Tall TP's in with Blank, and they do take down 1 kill in exchange, but it's a 2-for-1 for Hanwha. And then here you got Blank. SKT starts the Dragon, but he whiffs the Smite, actually goes to Sangyun on the Ezreal, and Hanwha, this chase goes on for a very, very, very long time. But when you got Mundo hurling cleavers, you can only flash so many of them. Key flashes over aggressively on the Tahm Kench. He was playing absolutely insanely aggressively in this one. They chase down for another kill. That's 2 more kills for them to get their snowball rolling, and then it was around the Baron. SKT down a man because Blank, surprise, was caught out. So they try and contest Baron. 4v5, they go in. They get a lot of guys low, but it's not going to be enough. They get completely destroyed. 4 kills for Hanwha, and it just got completely out of control from there. SKT inted in a couple more times, 25-6, the final kill score, and a 15k gold lead for Hanwha. They move to 6-3. SKT sits the inverse of that at 3-6, and with that loss, I feel like that pretty much crushes the hopes and dreams of SKT making Worlds and making playoffs in 2018 summer, because now you got 6 teams ahead of them that are all above 500. KT, the closest to them, 2 games ahead at 5-4, and SKT's tied with MVP at 3-6. I think it's going to be another year where Worlds are in Korea, and we're not going to be seeing SKT at the World Championship, which is a damn shame, but I'm excited to see the likes of Griffin hopefully represent the LCK there. SKT, the early game was bad in all 3 games. They rebounded in Game 1, but the other ones, actually Game 3, their early game was decent, but the communication still seems to be an issue for them, and they're overextending, going way too deep, overcommitting for a lot of these fights, and that's what bit them against Hanwha in this one. And yeah, good luck to SKT. They're going to have to go on a miraculous run to close out summer if they want any hopes of making the playoffs. The Not My C9 hashtag has been trending all summer split because they've worked with so many different roster iterations. But coming into this week, it looks like Sneaky is the latest member to make his LCS debut in summer, because we saw the Academy boys, they played last night, and featured on that roster was not Sneaky. Golden Glue back in the lineup. He was in the mid lane for them, busting out the Lulu. They played against TSM Academy, which, by the way, you had Mike Young, who continues to not look that great. on the TSM Academy roster. But Blabber for Cloud9 Academy does look pretty fantastic, and you got to think the next step, the next change potentially for the C9 roster, if they continue to struggle and find themselves last place in the LCS, maybe Blabber gets a promotion over Svenskeren, because him and Shiro both really have been absolutely dumpstering the Academy League, and they're one of the main reasons C9 is sitting at the top of the standings in that league at 7-1. Spoilers, they took down TSM Academy in this one. This was the ace, or not the ace, 4 kills to pretty much close this game out. But Blabber looked fantastic on the Kindred, so maybe it's his turn next to make the jump to the LCS. But so this lineup this week, you saw Smoothie playing in those Academy games there, which means the lineup this weekend for Cloud9 likely going to be Licorice, Svenskeren. They actually have Sneaky as the mid laner, which screams to me they're running some funnel comps this week. Jensen in the bot lane along with Zazal, which is an entirely different roster yet again that we're seeing from Cloud9 this week. We'll see how Zazal works with Sneaky. I mean, they've basically been opposite teams for the entire split, with either Smoothie going up there and Sneaky being back. So, I mean, they've played a few games together, but obviously not the same level of synergy that you're going to have with the likes of Smoothie, who's played together for a couple years now. So we'll see if this is enough to get Cloud9 back into the standings, get some wins. Nice to see Sneaky back in the LCS, and maybe Cloud9 fans are a little bit happier. They're still one move away from the actual C9 roster that everyone expected to see this split. But they're keeping Smoothie down in the Academy League, at least for this week. We'll see if Cloud9 can finally rack up some wins, because even though they're dead last, there's still a lot of weeks left, and they're only, I think, 3 games out of first place, because it's a mess, a full fiesta for the standings in NA with a whole bunch of 4-2 teams. So their playoff hopes aren't quite dead yet, whereas SKT's almost definitely are. C9, there's still a bit of hope for the North American boys.